You know, I've been through something when I disappear from the internet and then come back with a new hair colour. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ness and I like to talk about books. I read 68 books last year and I'm finally sitting down to have a chat with you about the 12 best books that I read last year. These are in no particular order, they're all different genres and they suit a wide range of ages. So hopefully you'll find something in this video that you will want to pick up and read this year. Last year was probably my best reading year to date, although in my little well-being break that I've had in January, I've read another 4 5-star reads. I think this year is going to top it. So picking a book to talk about at random, the first one I'm going to be talking about is Full Disclosure. This is a standalone young adult contemporary novel about Simone, who is black and is HIV positive. Simone just wants to live a normal, happy life at school, although her HIV positive status is a secret that she's kept away from everyone because the last time she told a really close friend, it ended up being spread across the school and she was picked on because of it. So she's in a new school, she wants to try and get a boyfriend and she's trying to overcome the stigma attached to her HIV positive status and progress in a romantic relationship. She has 2 gay dads who are really nice. I really enjoyed that part of the storyline. And she's also trying to navigate her relationship with them as well. Fortunately, her life gets complicated again when someone in the school finds out that she's HIV positive and they start basically blackmailing her anonymously, and she's trying to think about what her next steps are because someone is threatening to out her status. I don't usually like contemporary novels, but this one was absolutely fantastic. It was really thoughtful as well. I've never read anything like it and I highly recommend if you like young adult contemporary novels. I think this was my second 5-star read of last year. Next is my first 5-star read of last year, and that's The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I know there's so much hype surrounding this, but for me, it lived up to it. 5 stars. This book had me laughing, crying, happy, sad, hopeful. I had all of the emotions. I'm actually hoping to do a reread of this year because I enjoyed it so much. This is a standalone novel by Taylor Jenkins Reid. There's 2 parts of this book. One part is set in the modern day and it's about a journalist who gets the opportunity to visit elusive old Hollywood actress Evelyn Hugo and is offered the opportunity to write her autobiography. Not a lot of people know about Evelyn Hugo other than she had a very successful career in old Hollywood and she also was married to 7 different men. The other part of the book follows Evelyn from being a child through to her entering her acting career, how she gets her foot in the door and how she progresses through Hollywood and the relationships she makes along the way. I honestly love this. It's not what you think it's going to be. I loved reading about the 7 husbands as well. Harry is my favourite. If you know, you know. I hope this gets made into a movie or something because it's so worthy of that and it would make a fantastic movie. For the romantics out there, please read this. Fantastic. Next is the Atlas 6, and my copy is the self-published copy, which is why I got it. I think this is now being pulled now that it's getting traditionally published, and I have pre-ordered a copy of the traditionally published edition. This was a booktok made me buy it and I absolutely loved it. The Atlas 6 is about 6 young adults who are supernaturally gifted and they're invited to join the Alexandrian Society. The Alexandrian Society are the caretakers of the Library of Alexandria and care for magical books and antiques. The story really focuses on the 6 main characters themselves and their personal development, their relationships with each other, and they are spurred on by this underlying plot of, you know, trying to compete against each other to get into the society. Part of a series. I can't wait for book 2. I would definitely recommend this for people that are driven by character development, not necessarily by plot progression. Next is a middle grade and that is Nevermoor. I absolutely adored this read, but I must admit it was difficult for me to get into at the start and I was a bit worried. I did consider putting this down about 80 pages in, but I'm so pleased that I stuck it out to the end. It's definitely one of my favourite middle grade reads. If you're a fan of Amari and the Night Brothers, you're gonna absolutely love this. Morrigan Crow is a 10-year-old girl who believes she's cursed and the town that she's living in, if anything goes wrong, it's blamed on poor Morrigan. She's also been told that she's destined to die on her 11th birthday, but as the clock strikes on her 11th birthday, she's whisked away into the world of Nevermoor, where she's invited to join the Wanderness Society, which again is a magical society, but she does have to pass 4 trials to get there. Whimsy, full of friendships, challenges. Morrigan is a fantastically written character, the writing is great. I have book 2 and I will be starting it soon. Honestly, a delightful read for anyone of any age. Next is the first book in a young adult duology, which is a retelling of Arabian Nights, and that is The Wrath and the Dawn. I've spoke about this quite a lot on my channel because this definitely reignited my love in retellings. In the 2014-15 booktube days, all I read was fairy tale retellings, lore retellings, and I think I read myself out of them. I definitely decided I wanted something fresh and stopped reading them, but when I revisited this one, I remembered how fantastic they could be. The main character is Shazi, and she puts herself forward to be the Caliph's new wife. The Caliph is someone who is famed for having hundreds of wives that never live until the day after he marries them. He's seen as a complete monster, and if you become his bride, your hours are definitely numbered. Shazi decides to put herself forward for a marriage so that she can kill him on her wedding night. In an attempt to extend her life, she begins telling the Caliph the story of Aladdin and really gets him ingrained in this story so that if he kills her, then he won't hear the end of the story, and it'll make him keep her alive for a few days longer while she tells the story and reaches the conclusion, and that's going to give her more time to kill him. I have book 2 to read, but honestly I think I'm going to revisit book 1 again before reading book 2. My reading this year is just going to be rereads so that I can continue on with series that I've enjoyed from last year. Things aren't all that they seem, a fantastic cast of characters, and a well-written book. Next was a birthday present off my friend Michael, and I absolutely adored this book. Alex is now reading it because I recommended it to him, and that is Kings of the Wild. This is an adult fantasy book, which is the first in a series, but I believe this can be read as a standalone, and it is, again, character driven, but if you like witty writing, this is the book for you. The main character is Clay Cooper, and he used to be, in the good old days, part of a mercenary band. Although now he's settled down, he no longer is in contact with his ex-bandmates, he's working, he's got a partner, and he's got a daughter. However, one of his old bandmates turns up at his door one night in a state and says that his daughter has gone missing. So they work on getting the band back together and trying to find his daughter, try and rescue her, and deal with all of the shenanigans of getting the old band back together. This is high fantasy, it's set in an interesting world, which took me a little while to understand, but what an accomplishment of a fantasy book this is. The only way I can describe this to you is witty. The humour in this is so good. It's not like laugh out loud funny, it's sort of just like, it makes you so happy and makes you smile. Next I have a book that I know Next I have a book which every time I look at it I just feel like this heartbreaking but happy feeling. It's so bizarre. It's A Dowry of Blood. This also was a gift. A lot of these were gifts actually. I'm absolutely spoiled. I don't know how to describe this book. I've literally been sat here for 5 minutes just staring at it. This book is written in like a letter form from the first bride of Dracula's point of view, and is a letter that she's writing to Dracula, and it encompasses a huge time span from her being turned into a vampire and being his first bride to them picking up his subsequent brides, partners. At the heart of this story though, it is a letter about domestic abuse. It's about a story about the impact of domestic abuse and putting yourself in the mindset and mind frame and experience of that person. But it's so dreamy, the writing. It is beautiful, it's heartbreaking, it makes you feel all kinds of things. I imagine that this is a book that I'm going to keep for so many years and reread multiple occasions over that time. This has probably jumped into one of my top 10 books of all time, if I'm honest. The descriptions of the places that they live in Europe across all different periods of history is just... This is an accomplishment. This is like a rare gem. I don't know why Waterstones haven't picked this up and dumped this right in their window, because this is amazing. The thing that really got me with this book is that it's not like really written in chapters. There's no chapter numbers, so you don't know when you want to give yourself a break from this book. So did I end up reading this in like a day? Yeah, I did. Next is also a book that is quite hit and miss, it seems, but I am on the love it side, and that is The Bridge Kingdom. Another one that I heard from TikTok, but everyone that I've seen talking about on Booktube really didn't like it, and I thought this was such a fun read. So fun, new adult with a little bit of smut, but I loved the fantasy plotline of it. I've spoke about it so much on this channel. Lara is a princess who is sent off to marry the king of another kingdom and to act as her dad's spy while she's there, so that she can send messages back to her dad about what the best way is to invade this kingdom. And she is very willing to do that. The kingdom is a series of islands that is like sort of like a straight curvy line between two bits of land, and her dad is the king of another one of these bits of land. A huge bridge runs through all of these islands to connect her dad's kingdom to his trade partner kingdom. So the Bridge Kingdom really controls the trade and export and prices of exports as well. So it's in the dad's best interest to try and take out this Bridge Kingdom so that he can lift his people out of starvation. I just loved Lara as a character, if I'm honest. She's definitely like one of them kick-ass, strong female types in fantasy, full of like a cheeky romance as well. So another reread. I have book 2, but I just want to read book 1 again before I read that one. You can see the reoccurring theme for my reading problems this year. Next is a book that definitely stole my heart in autumn, and that's Every Heart a Doorway. And this, again, gift from Lily. I'm spoiled. Every time I see a book that someone bought me as a gift, I get like little flutters in my heart. Does anyone else get that? Every Heart a Doorway is book 1 in quite a long series, but they can be read as standalones. And the thing that binds them together is this concept of children finding doors and disappearing through these doors into other worlds, and them sort of not wanting to return to their normal life. In this book, Nancy is sent by her parents to stay at this home for wayward children, and it's run by someone called Eleanor West, who to the public seems to be wanting to correct children out of this behaviour, but actually harbours the same feelings as what the children feel. She, at one point in her life, found this door to another world, has returned to her normal average Earth, and is really struggling to adapt. Most of these children want to find a way back to their other world and have developed behaviours more suitable for that other world, but for some reason have found themselves back in Eleanor West's home for wayward children. The thing I loved the most about this book was the concept of the other worlds and how other worlds might behave, might work, how their morals might be different, how the way they work is different. Absolutely fantastic novel if you're looking for escapism. It is really, really short though, and for me, it worked. That was enough. That's all I needed of this story. I imagine some people that don't like short stories though might be a little bit put off. But for me, it probably top 20 books that I've read. Next is another birthday gift, and that is House of Hollow. But I enjoyed this so much that I thought, you know what, Rebecca is going to love this too, so I have passed it on to Rebecca. Rebecca, I can't wait to hear what you think of it. House of Hollow is a young adult standalone novel, but it does read quite old. It's gory, is all I'm saying. This is the story of 3 sisters who go missing as children and they return, but something about them isn't quite right. They can't remember what happened to them when they went missing or what happened to them over the period of time that they were gone. They are older now. 2 of the sisters have moved out of the home. They're doing their own things, have their own careers. But then the eldest sister, Grey Hollow, goes missing again. And the younger sister, who is the main character, sets off trying to find out what's happened to Grey. This was a fantastic book. The way that it was written was so good. At times you like felt really on edge because there's like this concept that they're being hunted by a strange man or creature. You don't know if he's human or not. But I love the description in this. There was a general concept of rotten flowers and rotten fauna throughout, which sounds disgusting, But you know, it was just so different to like the typical fairy tale. It was like grim fairy tale, a masterpiece. The next book was a book that I'd had on my shelf for about 5 to 6 years, and I was so impressed when I actually picked it up, and that is Wool, which is an adult science fiction novel. It is part of a series but can be read as a standalone, and I enjoyed it as a standalone. I picked this up because I was going through a phase of trying to clear out books on my shelves, and I decided that I would try the first few chapters of a range of books, and if I wasn't enjoying them I was just going to get rid of them. But once I'd actually started reading this, I couldn't put it down. It was so good. The concept of Wool is that it's in a post-apocalyptic world and humanity basically lives in silos. Fans of Fallout would love this, and the main character is of a time where his whole generation and generations before him have lived in the silo. They don't know anything different. All they know is that their society now basically lives in this one silo. They can't get to other silos. They don't know if people are still alive in the other silos, how they're doing, because there's no communication, and they can't go back on top to go somewhere because they would die of radiation as soon as they got there. Essentially, there's nothing left of humanity up top. It really kicks off when the main character starts questioning his reality around him. And that's all I'm going to say, because this book is best going into the unknown. I don't read a lot of adult sci-fi, but this, what a surprise. Definitely recommend. And the last book, although I did read the whole series last year and enjoyed the whole series as a whole, is The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which for me was just tiny bit better than the rest of the series, but honestly, the whole trilogy, completely recommend. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a young adult contemporary crime series, which I've not read a lot of, and it's about a girl it's about a teenager doing her, I think it's her A-levels, and she decides to write a project report revisiting a murder that was committed in her little village. It's definitely like typical quaint English small village vibes from this. She generally believes is that a murder that was committed a few years ago by one student against another student at their school, that the person that was convicted for it was actually innocent, and she sets off trying to uncover the real murderer. I imagine if you're trying to like investigate a murder as a teenager for a school project, I imagine the way that this is approached is really realistic. As the series progresses, more things happen, new crimes come up, and it just reads really real. Excuse me. It's got a little bit of romance in it. A great series. So that was 12 books that I read last year, which I absolutely loved. They were standout reads for me, definitely all really memorable, and I would highly recommend them all. If you've read one of these books, please let me know what your thoughts on it were. Or if you've watched this video and thought, I'm going to buy that book and read it, please let me know that you've bought it. And if you do read it, please let me know, because I would be dying to know what you think. That's all from me today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you have. I will see you in my next video, which won't be 3 weeks away. Bye guys.